Mike, turn your games down.
Hi everybody, welcome to another What Are You Playing episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight?
Me, Star, back again for another recording. Hey.
Welcome back.
Steve Luzader here again.
Welcome back, Steve.
And Michael Colby from Jack Billings Presents Haunted Apartment Complex here for the first time.
Yes, first time joining our show, so thank you.
We got a newbie. This will be good.
Hey, zing. No.
So we are here to bring you another What Are You Playing episode. This is for March of 2023. And as I've been doing every one of these episodes for the last couple months now, I have to start with the first game that I've been playing nonstop every day. Marvel Snap. Am I the only one of us playing Marvel Snap?
I was into it for a little bit, but I jumped off pretty quick.
Okay, that's not a bad thing. I've been playing it since I got into it a few weeks after launch. I didn't want to play it, and I've spent I think $50 on it so far. So yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, I was playing it for a little bit, and then I saw the fact that I was going to need to spend money on it coming, and I said, you know what, I'm not enjoying it that much.
That's the boat I'm in right there.
You don't need to, but the season passes, it can be especially for two of the season passes, Zabu and Silver Surfer. If you didn't have those cards, you were completely at a disadvantage. And then they nerfed it.
And that's the problem I have with those kind of games. And I saw that coming. I have no problem with a game like that wanting to get the money from you. And Snap is a completely enjoyable game. Don't let anybody that's listening to this get me wrong. It is a darn fine game. But the thing is, it just wasn't worth me putting into the season pass. And I know games like this where if you don't keep putting into the season pass, you'll fall behind the curve. And I'm just I'm not falling for this again.
Yeah, it isn't. They're trying to fix it. The season that we're currently in the last month, you didn't need either of those cards. There was a big burst where everybody was playing MODOK, which was for a discard deck, and then that went away within a week because it wasn't broken like Zabu and Silver Surfer were broken. So I got huge ranked up from Silver Surfer being broken though. So
yeah, and it wasn't just the fact that I was going to need to start spending money, but the meta started up, and I was like, oh, I don't want to play against people who only use the meta, and I don't want to do it because that's boring. So I was like, everything about it, all of those collectible card games go like that so fast that I'm always like, yeah, just fine, forget it.
I mean, luckily with this, they're actually fixing it. Right now, the meta has been, for those that play Marvel Snap, Shuri and Thanos decks, and they're doing something as of Tuesday to nerf them, so people can't. So it won't be the only, majority of the decks people are using will be those two. That's about to change.
Does it have any PvE content, or is it all just PvP?
It's all PvP right now.
Yeah, because that was something I really liked about Hearthstone back when I was playing. It was I would get burnt out on PvP, and then I'd be like, oh, there's PvE stuff. They kept adding every season.
There's bots you can fight sometimes, but you don't know when you're fighting a bot unless you're like, this guy really sucks. It's a bot.
Does that happen often?
They'll play, if you lose enough, you get bots. So sometimes, I'm tanking right now, not on purpose, but I just can't fucking seem to win. I'll start fighting bots and then get my rank back.
Mike, that's where you say it's on purpose, so that way all the people will be like, oh, that's why.
I don't have a broken deck right now. Sure, what were we gonna say?
I feel like Snap missed it up. I feel like Snap missed an opportunity here by not actually using Doom bots as your bots. Just put the little Doom symbol, just call it Doom bot so that you know it's a bot. I feel like that's a missed opportunity right there.
There are Doom bots in the game that you can summon when you play Doctor Doom. You summon Doom bots. I really like the game. I almost have a complete Pool 3 set. I'm missing one card from Pool 3, which is the big where most of the cards, 80-some cards are in, of the however many cards are in this game. That's where the majority of them are in. But they're adding 2 more I don't have next week, so then I'll be short again. But I don't want either of the cards they're going to give me. But I don't know. I really like it. I do every mission. I wake up in the morning. I do my missions. I do my dailies all day. I don't really play a whole lot. I mean, sometimes I'll screw around and just lose constantly. But unless I have missions, I try it. I don't play as much. But I just love the game. I put 15, 16 hours into it a week at this point. So I'm like, yeah, I have my $10. It's fine.
No, it's got really good. It's got really good bones. And as somebody who's played a lot of TCGs and CCGs, I can really appreciate in terms of its strategy and gameplay. I think it's really well executed.
And they're making a big change come Tuesday where you can get cards easier. You have a Pool 3, which has 80 some cards, which are hard to get. But now every month you get a free card from that set. You can just pick what you want. And
that's nice.
So it'll make it a little easier. You can't buy them with tokens, but the way tokens took, I mean, it would take me sometimes a month just to get the one card anyway, but now you get more tokens than you can then use to buy Series 4 and 5 cards. So they're trying to promote, because they were upset that they put this token system out and people were just saving up and trying to finish Pool 3 and not doing what they wanted them to do. So they changed the system. But you get more currency and everything's the same price. So it'll be easier for people to get new cards. Because one of the biggest upsets, a new card comes and everybody gets fucking pissed because you can't. It's so expensive and so unattainable unless you've been playing for a long, since the beta. So a lot of people are angry, so they're fixing it. Oh, I never get into mobile games, and I love this game. Like, it's weird, and at this point I'm just in. So I spent enough money, so I'm just like, fuck it, I'm in. I recommend those that play, even if you don't like. You don't have. I don't feel like. I think they're gonna fix it where you don't have to spend money, where you don't feel like the season pass cards are unbeatable. Like Nimrod is the current one, which is not that amazing. And the next one coming up is Hitmonkey, which I can't wait to have, but it's also not that amazing, like where it's going to break the game. They'll be fine. So that's nice. They're making some good changes to the game too.
I think as long as they stay on top of changes like that, it might be good news for the long-term health of the game. Yeah.
No, they try to fix everything and they keep track. I mean, people keep complaining about one of these cards, and they nerfed a few cards. Whenever they see that only people are playing a certain deck, they nerfed it. They changed, so people have to come up with new stuff. They did kill one card essentially, but that's okay. Leader, for those that, if you play Marvel Snap, it would mimic whatever you did on their side, so people would just play that card, and all the cards you put down on turn 6 would just go on the other person's side, so you just lose. They nerfed the fuck out of that card. Yeah, it's a great game. That's all I've been playing that I can talk about that isn't for the show. I don't play anything else. I've been meaning to, but I just haven't had time. Not because of Marvel Snap, just because I don't have time.
You do know that they have Vampire Survivors on phones now.
I have on my Steam Deck.
That's like an actual good game that you can play on your phone.
I put too many hours into that game.
I'm
done with that. I bought the DLC. I put a lot of time into Vampire Survivor, but I got to the point where the only achievements I was missing was I had to do like the 31-minute things, and that was the end of that. Oh. But no, I played a lot of Vampire Survivor.
The 31-minute stuff is easy. You just have to get the endless, where the Reapers don't come.
I mean, I remember getting the rings. You talking about that, or is this something new?
No. It's another thing. It's a game mode where the Reapers don't come. You can just have an infinite.
Oh, and that will get you the achievement?
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, damn it! I feel like God, what the fuck? What meme is that? Damn it, I'm in. Yeah, that's what just happened.
Yeah, no. Get back into Survivor. Get back into Vampire Survivors. The DLC came out on the phone version. It's fantastic.
You can't see this, but I got a Steam Deck to the left of me. That's how you play Vampire Survivors.
Okay.
It's the number one reason to own a Steam Deck, unfortunately.
I have all of the achievements on Xbox. I just bought the DLC for the Steam version that I had all the achievements on besides the DLC. And I just got the DLC for the phone version. I friggin' can't stop playing that game.
Because the only reason I quit playing. But I won't play it alone. It was like a lot of times it was my nighttime game. I would take to bed with me. Like, okay, I'll just play a little bit. But then every round would go over half an hour because my character was good enough. And I was like, yeah, I'm done with this.
Yeah, I have characters, like if I'm trying to do something, I'll just set my character, get my loadout that I like, and then just put my phone down or whatever and just let it go. You don't need to be around it if you have the right loadout.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. That's when but yeah, maybe it'll get me back into it because I have been curious to play it, but it was just the fact that I couldn't get those achievements. I lost interest.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Okay, I might end up. I never uninstalled it. It's just always installed on my Steam Deck. Just one of those games.
Yeah.
I think I have been on this show on and off for 3-4 months, and it always comes up. It's never a game that people are like. It's just always there. Like I was like, oh yeah, I've been playing that. It's still great. And I'll say it every time. Hey, if you like that game, you should check out Magic Survival on the phone. It's basically the game that was that Vampire Survivor stole everything from.
Magic Survivors is great.
It is. It's very different. And I put that out like, oh, you shouldn't just play it if you like it. It's like, yeah, they're different enough that I think it's just worth checking out. And it's free.
And the art style on Magic Survivors is so cool. I love the way that game looks.
very Limbo-esque is kind of the closest thing I compared to, but it's still really good. Like, it's more, you know? So, yeah, cool.
Yeah,
You're the first person who's heard of it, so that's really neat.
I play a lot of video games.
That's good. Some people, I think personally, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, once we get to the TV and movies section, you're going to hear me say, I haven't watched anything. Because if I have time to sit down, I'm not watching anything. I'm going to play a game.
My man.
Same.
I mostly watch TV while I eat or while I edit. That's usually how my TV watching goes.
Oh, my podcast requires too much like editing and production, so I can't watch something while I'm doing that, unfortunately, because I would love to.
But mine's on purpose, so I don't have to do that. I purposely, the way that this is recorded and the way that I do all this, there's a good buddy of mine that I'll give a shout out, Bill Tucker, our podcast Gamer Looks at 40, where he freaking like cuts up, like a couple of us have been on that Steve had. He cuts up interviews, like he posted an interview from something that I talked with him like 2 years ago, and he puts it out. I'm like, man, what you do is incredible. I will never fucking do it, but it is incredible.
Yeah, ours is a scripted thing, so it's like a fully produced scripted thing. So it's like, you know, a half an hour of podcast is 4 hours worth of work.
Yeah, that's too much. I can't do that. So, like,
we're not here to talk about podcasts. We're here to talk about video games.
It's whatever. As long as I produce these every month, that's what. It's been almost 2 years I've been doing this particular type of episode. So. And Michael, what games have you been playing besides Vampire Survivors?
Oh, in order to get ready for the Elden Ring DLC, I platinumed that.
Nice, man.
And then I looked at the games, like the Souls games, and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to platinum Demon Souls now.
Hell yeah.
So I've been playing the remake of Demon Souls, which is maybe the best looking game I've ever played. And it's also Demon Souls, so it's one of the best games I've ever played. I'm in love with that Demon Souls remake.
I do want to play it.
Oh, it's so good.
I might put the original on this show and then play it on a PS3 emulator and cheat, but
that's heavy. That's heavy.
You know me. I don't have time.
Oh no, I just mean playing the original Demon Souls. It's something.
It won't be so bad when I can save state and reload, so it'll be just fine.
No, it's just there's like an item that has like a JPEG, I think, of a developer's cat. Like there's a level that's a product of the time that is even and it's why like a lot of that sort of jank charm that was there, they completely removed with the remake, as far as I'm aware anyway, because I haven't played it. I've played like an hour or two, but there's something very special about the original Demon Souls in that regard. So it's oof.
The original Demon Souls, it took me a while to get into it because I did play it when it first came out, and I didn't get it back then. It didn't click until after Bloodborne, but then when I went back to it, I was like, oh, this game is, if it wasn't for Bloodborne, would be my favorite game of all time. The original Demon Souls is just, and you're right, part of it has to do with that jank and the weirdness, but that game is impeccable. I can't find a flaw in that game.
All right. It's always been on my list I do want to try it. So many games.
Yeah, there's a lot of games.
Are you going to try to platinum Bloodborne, or have you platinum Bloodborne before?
Oh, that was the first one I platinumed.
Okay.
Bloodborne is my absolute favorite game of all time. I have 2 Bloodborne tattoos.
Oh God,
That's
dedication tattoo.
I really like Bloodborne.
Oh, it's so great. Mm-hmm. And I'm an old man, so I've been playing like literally since the Atari, and people seem to gravitate to like the stuff that they played when they grew up, but I'm like, no, let's get to the future, baby. And I can't wait until something takes over. Bloodborne is my favorite, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they do more with Bloodborne. I would love to see that get ported to like PS5 or PC too. Would be great, just to give it more options.
Yeah, I would like to see like a 60 frames per second. People are like, oh, why don't you just make the original 60 frames a second? And they don't understand that the combat is built around 30 frames per second. So if you made it 60 frames per second, you wouldn't be able to play it. They would have to redo the whole thing.
I was double checking. It's really sad. Bloodborne wasn't on that NVIDIA Game Leak from like a year or 2 years ago. My friends talk about it all the time. I hope it happens. There's no reason it shouldn't, but that game needs to be accessible, and it's not, and it's heartbreaking.
It happens a lot, unfortunately. I mean, I go through and I play a lot of licensed games now just because, well, I fail, and that's the only way to get a hold of them half the damn time. So I always think about that. But no, I mean, Bloodborne. I mean, I'm glad it exists. At least PS4 is still current enough, but it really should be on PC just to give people more options. But I get it if it's hard to do. I get it completely.
Yeah, they would have to remake the entire game, which is fine. They should, and the most amount of people should be able to play that game. It is sad because some people just aren't going to buy PlayStation stuff, so those people just aren't going to be able to play that game, which is a tragedy. I
loved it. I played it a few months before I started this podcast, back when I could play games like that. And I had an amazing time with Bloodborne. I think I did every boss. Except for the chalice bosses, and I didn't beat Orphan of Kos because I just didn't. I was like, yeah, fuck this, and I just left.
Yeah, Orphan is a rough one, but
I did everything else. So that's enough.
We could talk about Bloodborne some other time off of the podcast. Otherwise, this will just be a Bloodborne podcast.
I mean,
I thought about doing an episode, but then I feel like I need to replay it again, and I just don't have the time for that.
I mean, we sort of mentioned how much that game deserves a remake. I could think of a game that's very deserving of a remake, and it's coming, and I can't wait, and it's going to be amazing. And I've been playing it, and it's Resident Evil 4, and Dan Reichert, a Giant Bomb, said it's the best remake ever, and I can't. I'm so excited. I've played the demo for like 20 hours at least. Okay,
like
sorry.
All
what
tens. I'm like, oh, damn it!
I know.
I don't want to buy a current gen or current gen now system. Like I don't care about PS5 and Xbox, whatever the fuck it's called, X Series X. But I'm like,
Xbox fill in the blank.
Xbox.
I hate Xbox. I hate their naming convention now.
Yeah. But it's so good. Like I said, I've played 20 hours, so I have to mention it. It's just required for this podcast. That's why. It's not because I want to talk about it. But yeah,
I'm happy that it turned out to be that good. Like, because Resident Evil 4, the original, is one of my favorite games of all time.
RE4 is still a go-tier game. It just is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think this is gonna blast it out of the water in my heart in a way that makes me sad. That like I can go back and play 4, but I'm not gonna want to. I'm just gonna be like, why would I do that when I can just go play the remake? Like, it's so good. It's and that's just
forward
the
to
demo.
it when I get to it in like 5 years.
Oh, Mike, it hurts. I haven't had a game that I've been like, I kind of want to call out of work for until this, and at least a hot minute. But
I called it in for school when Resident Evil 4 came out because I was sick that day. My friend didn't believe me, but I actually was sick. But I went and took out the game, obviously. But
I think we just got some copies off the last truck at my work, and it's also a game I have not and would not ever do this. TM. But I would consider taking one before it came out, more than any other game that has come to my store this early of release. But I'm probably, when I'm on breaks, I'm just gonna go stare at it, even though I'm buying a digital copy, just be like, oh, look at it, it's so pretty, and I can touch it and look at it.
That's where you got to make sure your system doesn't connect to the internet. They'll be like, how'd you get this?
No, I'm gonna buy it digitally because I actually I was playing the demo a lot in my living room. Watching Ferret. So my partner kept watching. Like, oh, I really want to watch you play this game. And I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to play it on my Series S because I don't know if my computer could run it well enough that I feel like it would be worth it.
Yeah.
And then I casually went back here at some point and I downloaded it and I played it. And I was like, oh, it's so pretty. And I was playing even better than I was at the TV because our TV is like probably 10 years old. And it's just the image is sharper, and I was just a lot more like tuned in, and I was like kicking ass, and I'm like, oh, this feels so good. And I was like, hey, I love you. I think I have to buy this on my PC. I'm sorry. And they're like, that's okay. I really still want to watch you play. I'm like, I know. And they're like, what if I buy it on my PlayStation account? So I'm probably gonna play a normal run in the living room and then a pro run at my computer, and I'm just gonna. Oh, I'm so excited.
How far is the demo up to?
The demo goes until the first sort of major fight in the game, which is at the village. It's probably about, I think, especially if you watch the cutscenes, it's maybe like a 25, 30-minute demo.
Where Salvador comes up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so just like the original demo.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So it's just the good part of Resident Evil 4. I'll just play the demo and then I can skip the rest of the game.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I'll be 1 second. Okay, I'm there. I'm good. What?
I used
Sorry,
to have that
out.
demo.
I
It's not
blacked
worth
out.
money. But I had that fucking demo, but I threw it away at some point or just got rid of it.
Oh yeah, no. It I mean it's really fun, and there's a lot. Just the fact they had 2 secrets in there of a fully powered up TMP you could get by doing some weird stuff, and then they had like he's like an ultimate Salvador fight. He has like a white bag, and he has like this chainsaw that has like red on it, almost looks like fire, and it's not really
cool.
fun. Yeah, but it was fun that they had these kind of like Resident Evil 7 demo kind of had secrets, kind of like that. I think is what they were calling for, and it definitely was fun to feel that TMP because like I didn't care for the TMP in the original, but using this, it was just like, oh, it's so satisfying.
I'm just happy to hear people are loving it. I mean, so Michael, are you like more of an old school fan of Resident Evil then, like before it went actiony?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I couldn't stand. I never could stand 4. I hated 4 when it came out, and I've hated every iteration that's come out. I love 1, 2, 3. 7, I think, is my favorite one. And then I sort of fell off of 8 because it started so strong, and then it turned stupid like 4, 5, and 6. So I was like, you know what? And then the ending of 8 was so stupid. We could go through Resident Evil games and talk about what I love and hate about all of them.
I was just curious. I mean, did you love the 2 remake then?
The 2 and 3 remake, the 2 remake is better. I think the 3 remake is way better than people give it credit for. But I think 7 might be the perfect Resident Evil game. And also, if we want to talk about remakes that we're excited for, Silent Hill 2, that remake is coming out for PlayStation 5. And
I can't get excited for that game.
I know it's Bloober Team and they're whatever.
That's it.
But I feel like Silent Hill 2 is like sort of too sacred for them to screw with it too much.
Yeah,
that might be wishful thinking, but that's just where I am at it right now.
The trailer gives me hope. They have already tweaked with some stuff that some of the fan base, from what I've interacted with, has weird feelings about, like the fact that they made him older officially. Was kind of an interesting choice. Like, I don't know, but again, since they're working with some of the core of the original team with Silent Hill 2, that also gives me some comfort. But man, if anyone could fuck it up with all those sort of safeties in place, I would bet money it's Blooper. So yeah, I we'll see when that time goes. But I am also really excited. I am not excited for the movie. I get on about.
We're getting a movie too.
Yeah, it was one of the slew of things they revealed when they kind of released all this stuff. They revealed that they were making a movie, and it was either confirmed then or recently, but I read about recently that the same director did all the other ones coming back again, and I cannot stand that man making those movies. Yeah, it's probably, for the most people, it's probably the right choice, but it makes me angry.
Yeah, and I have no interest. When I replayed 2 for this show a couple years ago, I did not enjoy it.
What can I ask? I know it's a small tangent. Why was it like the shitty combat, which is intentional but weird?
It was a combination of stuff, but that was one of it. Yeah, and the story. I don't like who you're playing as when you know who he is, and it bothered me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, yeah, that's the point. That's the point.
I know. I don't know. I had a bad experience. I want to go back and replay it again for this show before the remake comes out, just because I want to see if maybe I was just in the wrong mood when I played it. Because sometimes you play a game, you're not in the right mindset for that game.
Did you ever play 3?
I did, yeah. We did 3 and we did 4.
How'd you feel about 3?
I like 3 a lot.
Okay, good.
Yeah, 3 is, again, I think, underrated. I know a lot of people love it, but like people are like, oh yeah, I mean, obviously it's not as great as 2, but it's
better.
Pretty close to as great as 2.
I enjoyed it more, but I like the character a lot better than James. Because James is a piece of shit, so.
Yeah, James sucks. Like, that's not...
Planklewood piece of shit.
Yeah,
I know, that's the point. But
the coolest of takes is that James sucks.
No, I know.
If I went into a room and someone was like, hey, I love James. He's such a great, fun character. I'd be like, I don't want to talk to you right now. I want to be out of this room, actually. But yeah, I
mean, he again should be with like that meme with Fight Club. If you idolize these characters, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
He would definitely have something on his dating profile that would attract a certain type of person. Like just, you see these guys dating profiles that are like, women are lazy and this and that, and like just horrible misogynistic stuff. And that would have been James.
It's a pyramid sexual.
Oh, gross.
Steve, what is something that you've been playing?
So I've been kind of hopping back and forth lately I've been on PS4 and Switch a little bit. Thing is, I sprung for the expansion pass on the Switch when I found out that the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance libraries were coming in. So I had to hop on board with that. And I've been enjoying the whole new world of things open back up to me. I went back in to start playing Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga because that was
I'm playing that right now.
Coolest Game Boy Advance games from that generation. It has the feel that the old Super Mario RPG did, and that is like one of my top 50 goats. And it's not really a sequel in any way, but it has all the fun and the charm and the humor, and it's just so much fun to play, and it's bright and it's vibrant. And I've just been dabbling in that when I'm on the handheld, when I'm not on the PlayStation. But if I got to talk about anything today, for the most part, probably the best thing that I've played recently, and probably the best thing I've played in a while, was I went through Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, that's good.
Hey, I've also been dabbling in that.
I went through the whole thing on that, the full platinum run, and I'd heard so many great things about it from a lot of people, and it was one of those things that was free on the PlayStation Plus. That's where most of my games come from anymore. So when I was looking for something to play, I'm just like, okay, this looks great, and I was more than pleasantly surprised. It was smooth. The characters were phenomenal. I love Grease. Grease is amazing. It's like the best new Star Wars character I've seen in a long time. But I love that it doesn't get over gimmicky with you. Like you're just kind of basic Jedi in terms, you have force push and force pull and the jump, and that's really about it in your lightsaber skills. So you're not like this. You don't start out as this kid and become this OP god by the end of the game like a lot of other games in general do. Like you're still pretty basic at the end of the game, even though you're very prominent in your
they couldn't make
power
it too
scheme.
powerful.
Well, no,
then it'd
no.
be like, well, where was he?
Well, yeah. Well, especially too, given the end of the game, and I'm gonna leave that under wraps in case there are some people that don't want that spoiled.
Hi, how you doing, Esme?
Yeah,
I remember the ending. I beat it.
But given how the end of the game, and it the game remembers where your place is in the universe. But Jedi Survivor's coming out here real soon, and I probably won't get that immediately. I'll probably wait on it, but if it's as good as the first game, it should be like really good. So I was really, really happy to play Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay. Because anything Star Wars, if it takes place in that era, has to be careful because they have to get rid of said characters before Luke shows up. They can't be around. Like if you are caught up with like all the Star Wars stuff, like any character they've had like in Rebels or things where if they don't kill them off, they got to make sure they put them away somewhere where they can't be involved.
Yeah, kind of like what they did in Rogue One.
They kill everybody off. Because like, you guys can't be here, so you all die now. Bye.
Episode 4 coming. You guys got to go. Bye.
Let's see. I've only played a few hours of it, but I've been enjoying it. My friend, he's getting ready to start a tabletop game just tomorrow. We're having session 0 of a system called Into the Dark, Blades in the Dark. But it's all sci-fi themed. It's like a sci-fi variant of this really popular system, and it's literally basically Star Wars. In the booklet, they call it other things. They call it the Way as opposed to the Force. But I was in a mood for something, and I was like, yeah, I kind of want to play, and the character I was picking, it's going to be like a former Sith Inquisitor, basically. So I was like, yeah, I'll do something. And my friend recommended, like, yeah, you should play some of that. And it helps. It's just getting me in the mood for it in a way that I'm really enjoying, and it's been really easy to just kind of pick up. Also, shout out, because I Googled it. It's on Steam right now for the regular edition for $4 and the deluxe edition for $5. So that's a pretty goddamn good deal, if you ask me. So...
Yeah, will hopefully be out during the Steam summer sale or winter sale, spring, whatever the hell that we are in right now.
Yeah, I think it ends in only like 7 days. So if not, it sucks to be you. Should got it while it was hot, you punk. But I'd also highly recommend. It's also on Game Pass or EA Play if you want to do that. I don't know what you would, but you
don't want to.
Yeah, I did really like Force Unleashed. But I don't like it sounds like you're throwing some shade at my boy Starkiller, and I don't appreciate that.
Oh, that was the other game I've been thinking about a lot because I even was researching it. The style, the way he wields his lightsaber, Starkiller, is the way my character's going to do it in the tabletop game. And I did a whole thing about researching what that was called and why. But yeah, no, Starkiller is there is an edgy little place in my heart, and Starkiller and Shadow the Hedgehog hang out there, and I love them so much, and I don't like to talk about them in any other context because that's embarrassing. I'm like, no, there's edgelords. God, I wouldn't even twirl hair and finger think they're cool. God, no.
I get it. You're good. I mean, Force Unleashed is a great game, but I don't know if I haven't played it in a while. I mean, I did it for this show, and I'm good after that. So.
Oh, just don't play 2. I hate 2. Like I
haven't put 2 in the show.
Right?
2 is
I don't want to go back to it.
It's fine to play, but it does not need to exist at all. And it's like 4 hours long, and it's just like, hey, well, like, what if you're a clone, but maybe not? But does it matter? Whoa, big brain. All right, end the game. Get out of here. And you're like,
well, I wanted 3.
All right, thanks.
Yeah,
we're not getting 3, so I lost interest.
I thought I was the only one who thought that way about 2.
I think it's fine if you have very low expectations, but like compared to what the original was and did, and compared to like Fallen Order, it's like that you are nothing. You are a blink in the sand of time. Get out of here.
I've not played either of them, but everybody that I've ever heard from has that same thing about Unleashed 2. They're just like, yeah, why am I playing this? It
very
fails
rushed.
in comparison.
It has a lot of issues. It has a lot of issues of that nature. It wasn't ready, and they didn't care. They're just like, we're putting it out anyway. We don't give a shit, so surprise, you get this. That's kind of the best way to describe it.
It's Star Wars. It'll make us bank. Publish it.
Yeah, especially back then, that was enough to be like, yeah, it's good enough. Which back then, my friend and I had a fun conversation just about it because Ahsoka from the show, in Clone Wars, learns from learns from Edge Boy Master. I don't know Star Wars very well. Fun fact, we're getting into this. Small reveal of the hand. Anakin, and she predominantly does that sort of behind the back style. And then, funnily enough, in this other game that came out later and was like not related, but it was like, hey, he learned from Darth Vader, and you know what he does? That behind the back style, and that was a fun thing we talked about. Just being like, it's interesting because why it does. And apparently, the main reason for that type of style is primarily to go against blaster fire, which makes sense in a lot of both contexts. And I was like, huh, neat, just fun little stuff about Star Wars.
Okay.
Don't mind me just info dumping.
It's fine.
Well, you learned it. You gotta
do
get
something
it out
with
there.
it.
Yeah.
What good is that knowledge if you can't share it with somebody, whether they
With
want
a
it or
bunch
not?
of strangers
Whether they
on
want it or not.
That's,
Well, don't
I'm
worry. There'll
pretty
be over
sure that's
100
why-
people that hear this, and they
That's
share
why
it with
podcasts were invented. Someone went, I know this, and I need to just let the world know. One other game I've been playing, kind of like Mike, I mentioned every time, is Dead by Daylight. And as we were talking about Silent Hill, I'm going to post my Bluff James memes that I get. Because funnily enough, James is a character in Dead by Daylight, and it's one of the few skins I
What
own.
is this?
Oh, I hate this. I hate it.
I live in certain shit posting groups, and my Silent Hill shit posting group loves to put James in this light as a joke, and it's very fun to have him. What the fuck?
For those that can't see, which is everyone but us, he posted a picture of James from Silent Hill 2, like half naked for some reason. So,
Buffed out with a sweet little tat, and I will post this in the Discord when the day comes. I think that's just the best place for people to be like, and it plugs the Discord. Hey, this channel has a Discord. If you want to see this image, go look. But anyway, Dead by Daylight, solid, still hanging out, doing its thing. Really kind of saying super stagnant and okay, but I'm still not going to stop playing it.
I'm glad it exists.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. So the interesting thing that they keep doing is they do surveys for the community every 3 months, and they always ask really interesting questions. And the last survey, and a lot of times they take action on it based on what people have said, and they trace back, oh yeah, 2 surveys ago they asked this, now this update we're getting that. And they did ask kind of what game mode additions would be exciting. And they talked about PvE stuff, which I think would be weird. I don't know. But they did do a whole dating sim about the killers for the monster fucker fans out there. So, at this point, I'm hopeful they'll do anything. Because I think everything they do that's the same is just kind of yeah, it's fine. But it's when they do weird stuff. Like if they put in a Buff James skin, for example, it would sell like hotcakes. I'm
It's
excited.
a weird place.
It's
just a weird thing.
As an outside observer, I always find it. I find it kind of cool, actually, just like how devoted to Dead by Daylight that core of its gamers seem to be. And I seem to notice that you're of one of 2 houses. You're either one of these core devoted Dead by Daylight players, or you're just not really interested in it at all. But I think that's good for the game that it's got that intensely devoted core. That, we're not changing the game much. We might add a famous killer here or 2, but you guys are still eating it up, and they are still eating it up, and that's good for them, and that's all it needs.
Yeah, on Steam the number sits around 30,000 as the last few months. I think when they added Wesker, which was a few killers ago, it spiked to like 40, and then they kind of did some stuff, and it definitely trickled back down to 30, but sitting around there, and that's on Steam. But it is kind of interesting, because usually also when they release a killer, it'll bump up for a few thousand for a little bit, and then kind of go back down, or some will stick around for like average Steam player counts, because that's only the number that we as players can see. But the last 2 killers, I think it didn't actually even come up. Like, it didn't spike really noticeably, and so it's kind of been the big thing that's about to happen is the anniversary event, which is where they're going to hopefully do something, I'm thinking, pretty big, but then more importantly, they're going to, I think, do a new roadmap of like the next year.
Isn't the game getting close to 10 years at this point?
Oh, you're probably right. And I mean, this last year, I think they've made the most significant updates that have really refreshed it, including like adding icons for what other players are doing in the match. So for like solo players, it's easier. It says this game was released for Windows in 2016. Doesn't even say when for Steam. But yeah, it's pretty old. So, I mean, there's also been a lot of other games that have kind of tried to come in, but no one, again, I said this before, no one is just able to sort of make that impact the same way of like, hey, come play me. People might play for a little bit, but they're like, man, I'll just go back Dead by Daylight. I know what I'm doing there. I know what's going on. So, yeah.
Okay. Steve, anything else you've been playing you want to mention?
Probably I've done a few titles, but my other big one I've done probably since the start of this year was I did Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely adored the crap out of Zero Dawn. Like, it's in my top 50 list of all-time games because it was different, it was cool, and it was fresh, and I just had some jaw-dropping moments in Zero Dawn. I like Forbidden West because it still does a lot of things that the first game did right and keeps doing it better. I like, Aloy's still a great character. I think she's a phenomenal character, even if she's a little like stagnant personality-wise. And if I have any one big gripe about Forbidden West is that her character doesn't really develop a heck of a lot from the front of the game to the end of the game, but I like the cast of characters, and everybody feels more fleshed out in Forbidden West than they did in Zero Dawn. I think my problem with it, like, it's a good game, it played well, and I enjoyed it from start to finish. I just think my problem was sort of in a way like, if you go back and play BioShock and you know how the twist goes, you can't enjoy the game as much. I had the same problem with Forbidden West. Like, all of that awe and wonder and jaw-dropping moments that I had in Zero Dawn, I couldn't experience again. Zero Dawn was the first game I played on the PS4. And, like, the first time you came up upon a Thunderjaw, and it was just this amazing moment.
Yeah.
Like, it was unparalleled. Your jaw dropped. It looked amazing. And then when you run into the Thunderjaws in Forbidden West, you're just like, okay, whatever, bring it. I can take it. And there's a bunch of cool new stuff too, like the Tremor Tusks, the giant elephants, and Hippo. Like, there's some really cool new machines, but it still just doesn't hit that spark like I wish that it did. But I mean, all in all, it's a little behind in my ratings compared to the first game, but from start to finish, I thought it was a really good journey and a really good time.
Okay, I'm definitely curious about it. I really enjoyed Forbidden West when I played it. What's the first one?
Zero Dawn.
Okay, I know you said it, then my brain went to the wrong. I really enjoyed it when I played it, but I've also noticed, like, I've been playing more open world games for this podcast, and like, I can't tell if I like them or I just get addicted to the dopamine hit of, ooh, I did a task. I just keep doing tasks, and I can't say if I'm having fun or not. I just keep doing tasks. So I get enough.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience with Forbidden West because I argued for Zero Dawn as my game of the year over Breath of the Wild. Like, I enjoyed Zero Dawn immensely.
That would be for me, but I'm not as big on Breath of the Wild as everybody else is.
Yeah, I also I'm not a huge fan of Zelda in general, but that's, again, for a different thing. But when I was playing Forbidden West, it was like, it was rubbing me the wrong way, because not only is Aloy doesn't develop in this game, it seems like she goes backwards from where she was at the end of Zero Dawn. She goes back, like, because it felt like she learned the lesson of, I need other people in my life by the end of Zero Dawn. And then at the beginning of Forbidden West, she's right back to where she started.
No, that's absolutely fair.
I wasn't a fan of that. And Forbidden West it did a thing where everything in that game needed to be like there had to be 1,000 things per square inch no matter where you went. So it's like, wow, this is technically impressive, but it is hard on the eyes. It is hard to look at that game. Like, technically impressive, but like weirdly very ugly because there's so much going on in it.
To go back to your point for a second, you were talking about, Aloy kind of regressing, and it kind of didn't hit me till just right now. But I think the point more is that Aloy sees her friends or allies as tools. They're things that she needs to accomplish a specific goal that she knows is too big for herself.
Mm-hmm.
That were it probably not for their facilitation and their necessity to get her end goal done, that she probably wouldn't be giving two shits about them.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like that. I mean, it didn't feel like that at the end of Zero Dawn to me anyway.
No, you're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it feels that way sort of throughout that entire game, which I got about 3/4 of the way through it, and I was like, ever since I got COVID, I get weird headaches when I look at stuff. Like, I can't hardly play first-person games anymore because I get these bad headaches. And that game just gave me such a headache. I was like, I'm not enjoying this enough to power through it. So I didn't even get all the way through it, but it just felt like she regressed and she was learning the same lessons that she did in the first game. And I'm like, this takes place right after that first game. Why are we going back to learning these same lessons? And I am still looking at this muscly James and I hate it.
I can't see it because I have other stuff in the screen.
Is that one of those things that the more you're looking at it, your eyes are just hurting? Like, because I respect that. I'm not saying I don't.
I also can't believe I'm gonna load up Vampire Survivors, I think, today. So yeah. It's been a long time since I thought about that game. So I'm like, impressed.
Now you're just thinking about Vampire Survivors. What are we even doing recording a podcast? You could be playing Vampire Survivors.
Okay, good night, everybody.
It's been real.
Hey, you can easily play Vampire Survivors and record a podcast. I've done it. It's not hard.
I've done it as well. I set up a second computer in my podcast recording thing so that I could play Vampire Survivors while I was doing podcasts.
Yeah, there's not much needed when you're playing it.
No.
Just kind of put it on, like, yep,
yeah. Let's just get it started, and then it'll do the rest itself.
Mm-hmm. But that's what makes it great. Oh, Michael, any other games that you want to mention?
Not really. I am one of those weirdos who still plays Rock Band to this day.
Oh, what do you mean?
Nothing wrong with that.
If I had a Rock Band setup, I'd be playing that right now. I wouldn't be fucking here. God.
Sorry, I can make you upset real fast. So I bought a Guitar Hero set, the last one, Warriors of Rock, I think it was, and I never played it. And then when I finally went, because I didn't have room in my basement that I was living in, renting, and then I got an apartment, I kept it with me for like, I think I moved that thing around for like 7 years out of 2 different apartments I lived in, and finally I get a house. All right, I'm going to play it. And I went and take it out of the box, and I was missing stuff. So it just all went right in the garbage. I'm like, nope, we're done. Bye.
Yeah, no, I'm a drummer, so I got the cymbal kit for it, so I have the whole thing, and it just helps me because it's way less loud. My drums, you can't see it because we're not on video, but they're right behind me. They're set up in my living room, so I don't get to play them nearly as much as I would like to. So, I play Rock Band, and anybody who says that, oh, it's just fake things, play the drums on Expert and you're just drumming. So that is completely viable as a musical instrument, like to help you learn. But I also enjoy the guitar parts of it too. And my mom just dug speaking of games my mom found, my mom just dug my Xbox 360 out of the basement. So I hooked that back up, and I've been playing like Beatles Rock Band and Guitar Hero 5. I don't have the drums for the Xbox 360 anymore, but I have been playing guitar on those. I love rhythm games. Like
I do too.
I started with Parappa, and I've just been going ever since. Like besides like Metroidvanias, music games are like right up there for me.
I tried to play Rock Band Beatles, and I had the guitar, and I went and pulled it out. But apparently, at some point, I put duct tape on the guitar. Not by choice. I'm not the one that. I was my kid when he was little. He loved duct tape. and it doesn't click right because it has sticky on it. I'm just like, I can't enjoy this.
Oh, that's too bad. And the stuff is so expensive now.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
You're
past the point where I still have 2 guitars. One's the wired one, and I have a wireless one. But it's just like that time has passed. Like I went through my phase. I mean, it's good that you're still playing it because they're still great.
They're
great
so
stuff.
Great.
I still in my living room. I still have my PS3 and I have the 2 guitars, a pair of mics, and the drum set sits behind the TV. Now, unfortunately, I haven't turned it on in like 4 years, but I don't. Well, my problem is I keep wanting to just kill the backlog, and it's like if I got time, I want to be killing my backlog, and not
you don't want
Guitar Hero.
Yeah,
but I always keep it hooked up because I'm like, eventually, I'm going to have that urge to just want to go back, and I have that urge frequently to just go back and turn it on. And the beauty of it is all I have to do is turn the PS3 back on and probably do 14 hours worth of system updates. But I can just go right back in and play it. And I've still got all the ones that I had, because I have Guitar Hero 5 and Metallica and the Van Halen versions for the PS3, and I can just I could go all night. I know that feeling.
Ever get them back again? I'm assuming they'll never go back down that road. Like, it'll be a long time before we get anything like that again.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, it's like a core of people, just like Dead by Daylight or anything like that. It's like it's down to a core base of players, and it's going to be very hard to get new people in, and especially when the cost of entry is high, like in a rock band.
Yeah, and didn't it wipe out a company? I think Mad Catz got wiped out by them because they made so much of that stuff and they couldn't sell it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
There's also another problem too. I think they tried to relaunch Guitar Hero on the next gen consoles. I tried it. Like, I tried to sample on the Best Buy, but the problem was they redesigned the guitar. It doesn't work like it used to, and the new setup is just so much harder. At least for somebody that had been playing the old ones, the new one seems so much harder to use, and it immediately turned me off. Like, I don't even want to try to learn this new system.
It was way harder, but also once you got used to it, it was great. I loved that new Guitar Hero. Nothing on the disc, like the songs on the disc were terrible, but when it had the live thing going on, there was some good songs on that thing. And that game was fun, but not enough people playing it. So they stopped doing the live thing. And now it's just like, well, I guess I could play these shitty emo songs that are on the disc, but I don't want to do that.
And I'm sure there's probably headache anymore about keeping the music licenses.
God, it has to be terrible.
Yeah, trying to keep those licenses renewed over and over, which is probably why you will never see this stuff get relaunched or re-released. But because we know anything with licensed music is a bitch, and eventually ends up causing a game to get delisted because, well, we just can't pay for it anymore.
Yeah, Rock Band is putting out DLC every week, though.
That's good that they still. I'm glad that that's still there for people who love it, because there are people like you who loved it. And I mean, there's some people that don't even play games and just loved Rock Band. So I'm glad that still exists.
Yeah, it is great, and every week 2 to 5 songs come out, and it's like, cool, this is great.
I regret that I never really got to experience it. When I lived in places where I couldn't really have it, and then I had one time where I played it where my buddy brought it over, and my son was not even 2 at the time, and he's crawling around, and he was I have a picture of him climbing near the drum set and stuff. But that was the only time I ever played it, and then I finally bought it years later at a Toys R Us in clearance, but I never actually got around to it until I figured I was missing the drum. I was missing parts of the drum.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
I was sad. And then I finally just said, "Oh, I also had a copy of Rocksmith. I bought it for $20 with the guitar and a Samsung." And I lugged that thing around for 8 years before I finally just said, "Why do I have this still?" and just dropped it off somewhere for free. So here you go, at Goodwill. Here you go. Someone will be happy and get Rock Band with the actual electric guitar.
Yeah, there was a time when I was obsessed, and I would just buy anything. So I bought Rocksmith, even though I'm not that interested in learning to play real guitar, and also it's very hard, and I'm terrible at it. So I was like, but I'm gonna buy this anyway, just for a different way to play a rhythm game. I bought Rock Revolution
I remember that garbage.
I had those terrible Guitar Hero games for the DS
Oh,
I
that
had
had that like
I had
little
that.
hand thing that you clipped on, and it like gave you hand cramps. I may
Yeah.
still have like carpal tunnel to this day because of that thing.
I admired what they tried on the DS, but
Yeah.
the execution just wasn't there.
Yeah.
It just wasn't there.
Like it worked technically very well. It was just uncomfortable to do. Plus, I have big hands, so playing on that little tiny guitar thing was rough.
Having small hands like I do wasn't any better.
So it just sucked no matter who you were.
Yeah,
it technically worked, but practically no.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I never played it because I just had no. I mean, I just had no interest. But I fucking love Guitar Hero at one point. I have all the games. I think I have all. Yeah, I bought all the physical discs of those games over the years, but they're just around me. I'm like, do I even need these anymore? So I'll probably never play.
Yeah, when I was going through and cataloging my games, I was like, why do I have the Wii version and the Xbox 360 version of Beatles Rock Band and the AC/DC track pack? At one point, I had like the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, and the Wii drums all in my living room. And my wife is like, you have to get rid of some of these or else you have to live somewhere else.
That's funny. I get it though. I mean, this stuff just takes up so much space.
Yeah, it's a
depending
lot
where
of,
you live.
Yeah. And even now, I mean, it like I said, I have my drum kit in my living room. I have my whole podcast area. She's like, as long as you can fit it in your podcast area, you can keep it. And so now my podcast area has a little hallway that I have to slink through to get to my chair. But at least I have all my stuff.
My wife can't say nothing. Most of the clutter in here is hers.
My area is also my work desk for my work from home job, so I kind of do what I want in the basement. I have 2 desks set up, but yeah, no, and I have tons of games around me that I keep debating what to do with. All of a sudden, I've been like, I want to sell all my stuff. I just because I'm into emulation. I'm like, I don't need all these copies of Rock Band games I'll never play, but I can't bring myself to part with them either yet.
Yeah. I did that too. I when I went through my collection, I'm like, I'm only keeping the physical versions of things that I have attachment to. And it was surprisingly easy. Like once you make the decision, I was like, all right, I'm just going to do this. And then once I started packing stuff up, I'm like, all right, that was pretty easy. So now I have like one manageable shelf and like a bunch of money at my local game store that I can use. So it's nice to do, but you do have to make the decision and stick to it.
One day, I tell myself that I'm going to, because I was looking at stuff and I'm like, I don't need a copy of Bolt anymore for 360. For example, I'm like, I don't need all Pro Football 2K8, I think it says over there. Like, I don't need these.
Why do I have this copy of Marvel Rise of the Imperfects on my GameCube?
The licensed games won't be going, though, when I do that, because those are too hard to get back if I change my mind. It's something I think about from time to time. Oh, Star, do you have any other games that you want to mention?
Yeah, there's actually one more I'm really kind of hyped to talk about, because there's right now currently the March 10th or Mario sale going on, which fuck, if you want to get a Mario game, you might as well do it now, because it won't be on sale again probably for another year.
So next March 10th.
Yeah, exactly. So I decided to pull the trigger and I bought Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope because I really like the XCOM games, and I actually played the original almost all the way to the end. And I'm a simp for Rosalina, so I figured, hey, why not go find my space waifu? All those things were enough reason for me to be like, yeah, I want to do this. And it's been really good. It's very simple and relatively compared to XCOM, it's really easy. And I think I've been playing the hardest difficulty, and there's a lot of stuff that's easy to cheese. I'm through, I think 30-40% of the game because it tells you, and I've only died once at a boss fight.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm having fun with it. And I think it's honestly, I don't know, if you like the first one, I'd say you probably the next one. Although I was looking at this, and there was this, when I bought it, it was if you buy the, with the season pass, it's $20 more. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. And I was like, no, probably not right now. But I was looking at it here on the website, and I noticed, I was like, oh, okay, the first chapter looks kind of neat, but whatever. Second chapter looks kind of fun. Then in the third chapter, it had this fucking part that it made me laugh and then sad. As someone who wasn't even a big fan of this, I'm about to post it because I'm stalling. But I can't imagine what it feels like to still be a stan of Rayman today. It must hurt. It must hurt a lot to be like, hey, Rayman's gonna be a DLC in the Mario and Rabbids game, but no, Rayman's still not getting a game. And it's like, bro, you poor little stans of Rayman. One day.
Actually, that was going to be one of the games that I talked about. Was I still play Rayman Legends. The thing about it is I'm a sucker for daily challenges and stuff, and they just keep putting different daily challenges out. So I log on every day and do my daily challenge or all 4 daily challenges, and then that's all I play are Rayman.
Is it like new levels, kind of like to like run a thing that's difficult?
It's like either, get as far as you can in this, and it's like sort of procedurally generated versions of the levels that are there. So it's I mean, whatever. It's not a new game, but it's whatever.
Yeah,
it's more Rayman, and I think the platforming on those new Rayman games, the UB Art ones that they did, Legends and Origins, I think are like literally the best platforming, the best side-scrolling platforming. It feels so good to play those games. And thank you for reminding me how long it's been since a new one of those games has come out.
That's what I'm saying. I think at this point you need any scrap you could get, and I respect the pain that you're in because it sounds hard. Something I will say that's been a little challenging with playing it is, and I know they're aware, it's very self-aware by the name itself, but they introduced a new Rabbid, and her name is Edge, and man, they make her so fucking cool. She
Why do you
green
keep
hair.
doing this?
And I'm sitting there looking at her, and I'm like, listen, I don't want to say I like this, but I kind of do, and it's upsetting in a way. It's like, I have a type, I get it, but please don't put it on a Rabbid. I don't need that. The only thing I would say they've added that I don't like is, so in the first one, like Mario characters, the Rabbid versions of the Mario characters don't talk. They just go like, blah, blah, blah. They make little Rabbid noises. But in this one, they're like, hey, we've learned how to, they even say it in the little guide tip where it's like, actually through technology, we've started learning how to translate the Rabbid language. I don't know if we really like this. They make some comment like, this might not have been a good idea. And the way they talk is it's just so uncanny valley for Mario, because it's like, if Mario's like, whoa, yada, and then you have Rabbid Mario's like, hey, I'm gonna punch him, and I'm like, please don't say English right now. Stop it. I don't need you doing that. And or Luigi Rabbid's like, I forget what he says. I can't even remember him, but just their little voice lines, and it's like they make noises when you climb ladders. But sometimes, and I'm like, that's fine if you're going, but if you're climbing a ladder, I don't need Mario Rabbid to go, I'm gonna get up here. I'm like, just stop. Just, hey, can I have 5 minutes without you muttering words?
I'm good.
Oh,
I think I need this.
No, it's mostly good. Everything I like enough, that I don't like. I could really, I do like a Rabbid named Edge, though. That I like, unfortunately, for more than one reason. But we can
with a very Final Fantasy looking sword.
Oh yes, 100%. It's just basically Buster City up in there. I just noticed the subtitle of this article is "Your Goth Girlfriend is a Rabbit" now, and now I'm even more upset.
Are there other games that we want to mention before we go on to movies?
I've only just played a couple other odd titles recently. I did Axiom Verge 2.
That's great. I love Axiom Verge 2.
I didn't. Let me correct myself. I didn't play Axiom Verge 1. I only played 2 because it was a freebie. And there was just, to me, I thought the music was stellar. I love those Middle Eastern and Indian influences in the music. I thought was great, but I just thought the game overall was just really mediocre. It was fine for a Metroidvania style game, but just as a whole game, I wasn't really thrilled with it. And I think part of it was, I hated the part in the middle where you're stuck as the drone, and you just got stuck at that part for way too long.
Oh.
And then I thought too, we're a really good Metroidvania game knows how to put you in the right direction. There was about an hour of that game I got stuck when you're stuck in the drone.
Mm-hmm.
I was off course for an entire hour. like in a section I didn't need to be in and wasn't supposed to be in. And I'm just like, I don't feel like I'm getting anything done until I looked up a guide and was like, oh, that's why I'm not supposed to be here yet.
Oh, see, that's why I liked it, because that reminded me of, like, I came up with like Metroid and Super Metroid, and those games have that kind of stuff in spades, and they don't do it anymore. Like, I think the Metroidvanias now are a little bit too handholdy, and we'll talk about that on the next episode of this podcast that I'm on. But but I that's what I liked about 2 so much. So if you're looking for an old school Metroidvania, Axiom Verge, and the first one and the second one are both fantastic. I think one overstays its welcome a little bit more than 2 does, but I really liked both of those games.
And no, that's fair. I mean, that's a fair criticism, equating it. But the funny thing was, I thought too, because, we talk about equating it to like the original Metroid, because the original Metroid's really aimless because, we didn't have map functions and stuff back in that day.
Yeah.
But I think the only other thing that irked me was just like the breach levels that the drone goes into. Like some of them, I don't mind that you feel inspired by Metroid, but there was a lot of those parts that feel that they were just ripped right off of Metroid.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
I'm okay with you being inspired by it, but when you're flat out ripping it off, then I'm kind of like, I'm going to take a little umbrage with that, I think. So,
Then,
I mean,
that makes sense.
it wasn't an awful game. I mean, I probably gave it like a 6 out of 10 in kind of like my own mind here, but I just like, I played it. I platinumed it out. Let's move on.
then
Hey,
you
that's still pretty
probably
good. Platinum it.
yeah, you probably won't want to play 1 then if you don't like things that feel like they're ripped directly out of Metroid, because that's sort of the whole first game.
Okay, I can kind of see that then. I do want to play the first game at some point. Axiom Verge has been something I've thought about for many years to finally try it, but I don't know when I'll ever get to it. But
It's cool. It's long. If you're talking about not playing long games lately, Axiom Verge 1 is longer than it has to be. It felt like if you ever played Iconoclast,
Ooh, I played that. Yeah.
I have not.
it's very good, but there's more of it than there needs to be. And that's a
good
very
way of putting
delicate
that.
balance in a Metroidvania, because as soon as it starts feeling like it's dragging, I'm like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting Iconoclasts.
Okay, then yeah, that would probably get to me then too.
But the second one's not nearly that long.
No, you have to do a speedrun mode for the platinum, and I did mine in less than 2 hours.
Okay, that don't sound too
Yeah.
bad then.
Yeah.
Yeah, one day. As I always told myself, I mean, I'm getting more and more games done slowly because of this podcast, so I play stuff I never got around to. Michael, do you have any other games that you want to mention?
No, just like I've been playing a bunch of Souls likes, just because there's a bunch of them that are free on PlayStation Plus Extra, like Surge 2, Code Vein. There's something about Souls likes that I'm very bad at, because like I go through the Souls games and like I feel like I'm not like one of these, run through Soul level 1 runs and stuff. Like I'm not one of those guys, but I always get through a Souls game, no problem, sort of, 5-6 times to do a boss. And all of these Souls likes, I always get caught up on a boss and I don't understand what it is. I don't know if it's mental or what, but I always get stuck up. Like I tried to play Wo Long. I don't know if anybody played this.
I've heard people talking about
heard
it.
of it.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talking about it too.
I can't get past the first boss. I played the first boss probably 35 times and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It feels like I'm hitting this guy with a cardboard wrapping paper tube and I don't understand. So I just gave that one up.
I kind of know that feeling. Last month I was looking for something to play and I looked up Neo 2 because it was in my archives. And I looked it up and I'm like, okay, Japan, demons. Okay, this sounds pretty cool. And I started it out. The game looked great. I uninstalled it 3 hours in.
Yeah.
I just could not grasp. Just couldn't
Yeah.
grasp much of it.
That was me with Neo 1. I really liked everything it was doing, but I got to not even a boss. I think it was like one of these first big old monkeys, and I couldn't beat him. No matter how many times I was beating my head against him. And I'm pretty good at all the other Souls games, and I was like, I just don't want to keep trying. I think this is neat, but I don't think it's for me at this point.
I think that the Team Ninja games, the Neo and the Wo Long, they take too much from the Ninja Gaiden games, which didn't feel like they're notorious for their difficulty, but I feel like that's more unfair than the way that the Souls games are hard, where it's like you have to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
The Ninja Gaiden games always felt like you just had to
get good.
Yeah, like either get lucky, but it always felt like I couldn't get good at them. It felt like not something that I could build my skill on. It felt like you were either good at them or you weren't, and that's how those Neo games felt to me as well.
I really want to play Neo one day. I've looked at it many times, but I'm just like, man, I don't got fucking time for this shit. But does it look cool?
Yeah, it definitely looks cool.
Yeah, I was looking through my archives today for something new to start after what I finished yesterday, and I saw Mortal Shell in there, and I've heard that it's another one of these Souls-like kind of games, but then I'm sitting there like, well, Neo 2 was a Souls-like game, and I didn't like that, so do I really want to try this? And I eventually chose something else.
Oh, I do have one other game. I forgot. Oh, no, feel free. Go. I'll go after.
Mortal Shell is more like Dark Souls 1. It's very like slow paced, but it's also very short. So I think you would be able to get through Mortal Shell. That one feels much more doable than Neo.
Okay, because the thing is, I really have not forayed into any of the quote Souls-like games like at all. I've not played any of the Dark Souls or Sekiro or Bloodborne or any of that.
Oh, okay.
Well, a lot of it's because I have a hard case of arachnophobia, and I know a lot of these Souls games tend to have giant spiders and things that scare the crap out of me, so that's why I avoid them.
Understandable.
Yeah, I don't know about any spiders in Mortal Shell, but I didn't see any from what I played. I didn't beat it, but you might want to check that out. But I hear it's a lot shorter and a lot more sort of accessible for somebody who's just getting into that type of game.
And that's what I've heard somebody else say. So now that I have a second concurring opinion, I might put that next on my list after my current project.
I did want to take a minute and plug, if you really like Souls-likes and you're ever looking for more, there's a YouTuber I post in chat. I think I've talked about him before on here. His name's Iron Pineapple. His content's fine, but he has like probably over 24 videos where he plays several Souls-like games in them, and a lot of them would be like, yeah, this is a game on Steam that has like 200 views and it's really good, and it's a Souls-like game. You should go check it out. So I thought I would just plug that if you're ever looking for more. You could just go dig through that archive. There's some really interesting stuff in there.
Okay, that's cool.
I feel like there's also a website that talks about like triggers or phobias in games. I can't remember what it is, but there are definitely websites that I have.
There is.
I think there's one.
It's
really nice.
I have a friend of mine that uses it because she has a phobia of dogs being, or not phobia, but dogs being killed.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard the website before, but I can't remember the name of it for the life of me.
Well, I still learned to deal with my phobias anyways. Nobody, I didn't do any research in Fallen Order when there were giant spiders on Kashyyyk, but we got through it.
They do. I think I'll have to depart here in a minute or two, but before that, could I speed run some things I've watched? Now I've thought of this.
Sure, please.
One big one, probably the one I've watched the most of, and it actually relates to rhythm, is I've actually been watching the Parappa the Rapper anime, and it's actually really fucking charming, and I'm really sad that no one really talks about it, and you can go find it on it's a library archive on that like main library archive website that has like everything. It has like beautiful HD quality with like subtitled stuff, and yeah, I think I've watched like half the first season. I think there's 2 seasons, and it's just really cute and charming and fun. And I am sad that it never really got popular. Like, it's just a really cute, fun show with like it doesn't.
Parappa the Rapper.
Okay, all right. Listen, it had enough popularity to get 2 seasons, and Parappa the Rapper still has a TikTok account. I got Parappa the Rapper content in my TikTok feed without searching for it, and that was one of my proudest moments on TikTok, being like, yes. The algorithm knows me. I've been looking for this, and I didn't know I needed it. But yeah, that's really solid. Parappa the Rapper and cute. It's rhythmy enough. But they do have they have like 2 new characters, and they don't have a lot of other characters. They basically have Parappa, Sunny, PJ the Bear, and Cat, and that's it. And so like there's no Lammy. I forget the other character in Lammy's band, but that was kind of weird. And then they have like 2 new characters. And one's like, his name is like Fred. I can't remember. It's something really basic. And the first episode, he's there, and he's like, who are you? And he's like, yeah, I'm PJ's friend from class. He's like, I don't know you. He's like, yeah, it's okay. He's like, all right. And then they just become friends. And I'm like, what a way to implement a new character into this show. Just to be like, don't worry about those other characters. Don't worry. It's just Fred. And he's like the most generic looking, like just blonde haired dog. His name's Fred. Don't worry about it.
Okay. This is strange.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's fun because a lot of people don't even know that exists, and like I'm a pretty big Parappa stan. I fucking love Parappa the Rapper.
I didn't, but I'm gonna look for
noticing
that
that.
for sure. That sounds awesome.
It's just a really cute kid show. Like it's definitely a kid show, and like some of the episodes aren't as solid as others, but it's just like this is just fun to have any. It's you think you're a Rayman stan is bad. Parappa stan's even sadder.
Yeah.
It's like I have Parappa 1 and 2 and I'm Jammer Lammy, and that's it. And then I have official Parappa TikTok posting TikTok content, which is just a big old suit of Parappa dancing to music, basically, and it still brings me so much joy whenever it's there.
I had the Parappa remaster for PS4 imported over. I have the physical version of the remaster of Parappa. It's great.
Oh hell yeah! I have the Japanese copy of Parappa the Rapper 1 and I'm Jammer Lammy, and I'm really proud of that from when I was there.
So whenever I want to cover, I know the people to reach out to if I want to cover Parappa the Rapper.
Hell yeah, let's do Parappa. I can still
play it like
do it
once
in
a
one
year.
go to this day.
Oh yeah, I think the only song I fuck up on is occasionally the chicken song and then the bathroom song.
Absolutely.
Bathroom song I fucking hate. I will fuck that one up a few times before I get it.
I
and I feel
love the bathroom one.
I love the song, but I'm shit at it. I would say, hey, you think that's great? Go play Jammer Lammy. Jammer Lammy is really cute and was actually huge gender goals. I didn't realize it till a long time.
The plain song in Jammer Lammy is one of my favorite things of all time in video games.
Also, the fact that they put a whole second batch of songs for Parappa in that game as just bonus content is wild and great.
Yeah,
there's so much more meat on the bone of Jammer Lammy than honestly either Parappa game. I will make that. Outside of that, I've been watching George Lopez show, and I'm embarrassed about it, but I will reveal that sadness on this podcast into the world of like. Sometimes it's just late at night, and I want to put something on I do not care about, and I'm doing other stuff, and for some reason, George Lopez show is what's there. Huh?
That show's fine. I used to watch it.
It's so mid, but it's just nostalgic.
It's so that year too. That like what early 2000s I think it is, or mid, or is it? Aughts? I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure
it's very much its time.
Yeah, and it is really the first minute that I felt really old watching it, being like, oh, look at them pull out a VHS tape, watch it on the tiny tube TV, and I went, man, if anyone under, I don't know, 17, 18 saw us today, they'd go, what the fuck is that? Why are they doing that? What do you mean they rented it? Rented it from where? Like Netflix? Like they got it off Netflix? They're watching. It's like, no, stop. So that was a very fun moment of just being like, oh, I am old. Well, I'm here now.
Welcome to hit you.
Yep.
And you're younger than me, so.
It's coming. It's coming every day. There's a little other thing that I'm like, oh, I'm old and sad. I was always sad. Now I'm just old. And then
it don't get any better. Nope.
Oh, that's I believe it. There's one other thing I was watching. I can't remember what it is. I'm gonna start watching not Mandalorian, the other show that I keep forgetting the name of that came out. Andor. Yeah, I'm gonna start watching that. I watched like almost the whole first episode and prep for the earlier mentioned tabletop. But yeah, it seems really solid as a person who doesn't watch a lot of Star Wars content. And
definitely check out Andor.
Yeah, I mean, I was already hearing great things about it before having like a reason to, but I'm excited to watch it like as its own little thing. I think that's it. I think it's about everything I've been watching. So instead of being polite,
I know you got to run, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I'm gonna leave. Thanks for letting me gush about my shit and then leaving before hearing any of yours. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your recording. So I sign off. Oh yeah, catch me at Squarebook on Twitch. And the only reason I'm plugging that right now is because I randomly got a follower like a week ago. And there's no reason I haven't been active on there for months. And I think it may have been from here. So if that was you, thanks. I guess. I don't know why, but woo. If there's more,
definitely could be from here. So
yeah, it was a sweet little moment. I was like, oh, somebody followed me. There's no other reason except for it would have been from this. So anyway.
I have a following.
Yeah. Not that part. That doesn't surprise me. It's just that I know. So I'm gonna go look this person up, and then I'm sure they're like, oh, they haven't done anything in months. Soon, maybe. Knock on wood. All right, I'm gonna dip. And oh, there it is. I had to click join call so I could leave call again. So
okay, I got one game I want to mention that I played recently, or that I forgot about, was Halo Fireteam Raven, which is a arcade game.
A solid game.
It's actually really good. I play it with my son. I visit my son whenever we go to the mall. And it's one of the few games they have in this arcade at the mall, and we play it. And we haven't last time I went there, which is this past weekend. He's like, he was in that mood. He's like, I want to finish this game again. So I'm like, all right. So we just sat there and we played for the we just played through the whole game for like $20, unfortunately. No, I spent more than $20. I spent like 30, but we finished it. So I was happy.
Well, in all fairness, it's like a credit costs you $1 anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about, I think it's credit. And I mean, and there was at one point when I went to go refill money, and then the game started up, and then he was sitting there just waiting while it's killing both of us. I'm like, play at least. I mean, he's 15. He knows better. He's like, I'm waiting for you. I'm like, no, don't wait. Shoot. I'm like,
that game came out just in July of 2018. It's probably some of the best Halo content we've gotten in the last 5 years. I'll say it. Hot take. I'm out. See you.
Is that like a shooter? Do you have a physical gun?
yeah, you sit in a seat, and you have it can be up to 4 players. The one that I play just has 2 players.
Okay.
But yeah,
So
it plays for the first Halo, your ODST soldiers, and then you die, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a standard arcade rail shooter.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can't maim that thing.
I don't know. Not that I know of. I mean,
Probably
I
wouldn't be very
surprised.
good if it's got a gun involved.
No,
yeah,
I just don't
really know how that would work that well.
Yeah. But I liked it. I mean, I've beaten it a few times now. We every so often we'll go through the whole game, and normally we just play like $10 worth or $20 worth, whatever I put in. Then we're like, okay, like we're done. And then this time we just went through the entire game, and I'm like, okay, this is fun.
Our mall just got a new arcade. Maybe I'll check it out, see if it's in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's also I've seen a 4-player version once at Dave and Buster's, which is the same.
We
game.
just got a new Dave and Buster's too. So
Yeah, it's cool though. And that's all I got for games. That'll bring us to TV shows. I got just a couple TV shows to mention. First, I've been rewatching Star Trek Next Generation again. I'm going through that.
Don't ever say again like it's a bore to do that.
Oh, it's not a bore. That first season had a bore.
No.
Sometimes.
Okay, yeah, the first season's rough, but my God, man, that is just some
The
prime
first like
freaking television.
the 3 episodes are like stab me, and then after that I'm good. Just those first couple 3, like oh.
I'm just glad when I got into it back in the 1980s. I was into season 3. Yeah, I'm old. Who cares? That I was into season 3 was on air, and I was past like the really bad stuff. Because otherwise, I probably would have jumped off of it. But thank God I was getting into it right as it was getting really good, and just got better toward the end of the
takes
series.
off.
Yeah, it just launches.
We watched the Measure of a Man episode, which I had to post about. Like I was like freaking ready to tear up. I'm like, wow. And
One of the best written episodes in that entire series.
so good. I mean, there's some other. I mean, it's just I'm loving watching Next Gen. I'm gonna finally get my wife to watch it because she had no interest in Star Trek whatsoever. Then we watched Orville. It's like, okay, I'm ready to watch Next Generation. I'm like, I've been waiting for this day. So then we got Paramount Plus, and I've been watching Next Generation. And then I also started watching the 2003 TMNT cartoon, which is also really good too. I just started that today. I recommend that if you have Paramount Plus and you like Turtles. It's a great cartoon.
I've seen a couple episodes of it here and there, but not enough to really formulate an opinion.
Do not watch the 87 cartoon, by the way.
I've seen that. I grew up with that.
Yeah, but we're too old now.
Yeah,
anything. Stop it.
I tried to go back and watch Masters of the Universe because that was my jam when I was a kid, and it is a terrible, poorly animated, goofy, cheesy toy commercial, and I was like, wow.
I still watch G1 Transformers. It's cheesy. It sucks. I don't care. I still freaking watch it.
I can't watch the 87 cartoon. I won't even. I tried once, but the 2003 cartoon is actually really good, and it doesn't get enough credit. So I always highly recommend that one to people. And I watched a whole recap of it not too long ago, so I know everything that's in it. But I'm rewatching it, and I'm like, this is just really enjoyable.
There was something about early 2000s cartoons that, like, I don't know what it was, but they made like the perfect cartoons in that era. That's like Flapjack is from that era. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Foster's is good.
Regular Show. Like, all of these amazingly weird and well-written cartoons came out in the early 2000s to like 2015, and then they just stopped doing it again, and it made me sad.
Okay, understandable. And I don't know, and so that, and the only other thing that I've been watching that I want to mention is me. Well, my wife mostly has been watching. I shouldn't say me, but I'm around when it's on. Is RuPaul's Drag Race? She started watching that.
God.
So it's all right, actually. I'm like, all right. She loves it. She watches it like she's watching it right now while I've been recording. So, but yeah, it's okay. She watches it and I edit. I'm like, okay, I hate the laugh though. RuPaul's laugh just makes me want to choke the TV. But other than that, I'm like, this is fine. No, they play it in between all like what the commercial breaks would be.
This is fine, like, the dog in the flaming room meme.
Yeah, my wife watches it too, and it's just everybody's so much. Everything is like cranked up to 13, and I'm like, oh, how can you watch this for more than like 10 minutes?
I see. I'm not the only one that has to, so I'm glad.
My wife also watches. She's also rewatching Star Trek: The Next Generation by herself because I think Star Trek is boring.
Oh, blasphemy.
I know. I told you I was going to be the villain of this show. I don't like Zelda. I don't like Star Trek. I don't like
Jesus Christ, you're
Resident
trying to get on
Evil
the
4.
podcast 10 Most Wanted?
I know. It always happens, but whatever.
I mean, I don't like Breath of the Wild, but I didn't give it a good chance.
I did find a Star Trek thing, and if it's okay for me to go just while we're talking about it.
Of course.
We started watching Lower Decks.
I've heard Lower Decks is really good.
Same.
It rules. It's hilarious. My wife will tell me when there's a Star Trek thing that would make it better, but as someone who's not a Star Trek guy, it's a very funny show. Lots of very funny comedians. I'm assuming since we're on a podcast that people listen to podcasts, but like a lot of the cast is from like Comedy Bang Bang and stuff. So there's like a lot of recognizable voices doing characters, and it's just a really funny show. And there's plenty of Star Trek stuff for Star Trek people.
It's on my list as I continue like this, because this time I'm going to go all full board in Star Trek and I plan to finally watch that, and I want to watch Picard at some point.
I think my wife is in the bedroom watching Picard right now.
I'm very curious about Picard, but I heard bad things about it, but I heard this third season's supposed to be really good. So now that I have Paramount, I might actually...
Apparently the first and third seasons are great. You can skip the second. That's what I hear.
But... Okay. That's cool, though.
Yeah, that's
that's
the only show I've been watching.
Exists, and that it's becoming more. Yeah, I don't have anything else. Anything else, Steve, that you've been watching?
Most of my TV diet tends to be my wife's General Hospital reruns and cooking competition shows, but I like those. But
okay.
We did watch, though, Christmas night, my wife and I and a friend of ours, we binged Wednesday on Netflix. It's like the first new show of any kind I've watched in forever. That's just how I am. I don't watch a whole lot of new TV, but we binge watched Wednesday. For the most part, I enjoyed it. I had some issues with it, not in any ways towards the casting or the performances. I thought those were still pretty good, but I think most of my issues kind of came with, the general development of Wednesday's character herself, and how pretty much the entire season just kind of ended up being a big episode of Scooby-Doo. And I guess that works for what it was, but I have my doubts about the series going forward, because obviously, like any Netflix show, it leaves on a cliffhanger if they want to do another season, and they've already greenlit the second season. And I'm just like, yeah, but if this is just going to be, a season-long episode of Scooby-Doo each time, this is going to be boring and formulaic. So I don't know about the series going forward. I mean, it's like I said, I do recommend anybody that has any kind of fondness for the Addams Family to go ahead and watch it. Like I said, you'll get just enough fan service from the other characters, Gomez and Morticia, and, Thing is a prominent character along with Wednesday. There's some great secondary characters that kind of help Wednesday out at this school that she's at. But I thought that the development of Wednesday's character was a little bit stagnant. There shouldn't be too much, but I guess for what the show is kind of trying to do with her, it just didn't do it, which if you watch it, to not do it was Wednesday's point. It's kind of this paradox. But I gave it like a 7 out of 10 in my book. It was decent. It had some flaws. I'm cautiously optimistic about the future, but they need to do something to change the show's formula going forward, or I think it's just by the time the second season's done, it's going to get dumped.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've seen parts of the first season. I haven't finished it, though.
Yeah, we got through the first 3 episodes of the first season, and we both kind of looked at each other and went, I don't need to keep watching this.
That's understandable. My wife was watching it off and on for a while, and I caught some of it through osmosis, essentially, but yeah, at some point. Some point I'll get around to it. Oh, and one thing I forgot that I watched one episode. I watched one episode of the Batman animated series. I watched the Bane episode. The first time Bane shows up on season 2. And I'm like, fucking that's a great episode.
That's a damn fine episode.
That was. I was trying to watch all the animes like after the entire first season, and I just kind of broke after that. I'm like, yeah, I'm done now. I watched like 50-some episodes, and I was watching, and I stopped the Bane episode, and I just randomly put it on. I'm like, okay, I'll continue this. I'm like, this is damn good. They make Bane good.
I love that show's interpretation of Bane, and in my opinion, it's probably one of the best interpretations of Bane that there is, because I love that in that series, Bane is not just hired muscle. He is not just some muscle-driven meathead. He's cunning and intelligent and is equally ruthless as he is powerful. And the way it developed his character that way just hit every note right on the head, just perfectly.
And it's all better than I was born in the darkness.
So, yeah, well, that's how he was in the comic. That was my problem with like every iteration I've seen of Bane on the TV, because they always like made him a big dumb guy, and it's like that's not what Bane is.
No.
I want to give a shout out though to the version of Bane on Harley Quinn. That's just hilarious comic relief.
Yeah, that is good.
I got to start watching that.
It's a good show.
That's what I hear.
Really good job in that.
I saw the first 2 seasons. It is violent. It is graphic. It is raunchy. It is hilarious. Like it hits all the adult notes that you need it to. I mean, everybody's funny. Like Bane's probably the highlight in terms of the comic relief. And if you want to hear a good impression, go check out my TikTok page, which is Mr_Mox. I do a bang on impression of that Bane, but it's just the whole thing is just freaking hilarious.
I need to watch it again. I've seen most of season 1 and some of season 2, but I didn't finish it.
I'm seeing clips from season 3, and I'm like, why am I waiting to watch this?
Busyness, maybe. Well, any last things you guys want to mention that you guys have been watching before we wrap this up?
That's it for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty much good too.
Okay, same for me. All right. And Michael, where can people find you at?
You can find me at Jack Billings, just anywhere you get your podcasts. You type in Jack Billings Presents. We have 2 series. One is called Me and My Neighbor Michael. That's where we were learning how to do it. And then this one that we're working on currently is called Haunted Apartment Complex. They take place in an alternate dimension, Reading, Ohio. My character is a ghost. Our main character is married to a werewolf. Our other main character is a gentle vampire. You can find out what that means if you listen to the show. And we have demons and ghouls and all sorts of crazy stuff going on. Chupacabra that lives in the basement. But that's sort of a weird scripted podcast. If you're looking for something a little bit more standard as far as podcasts go, you can listen to This Bizarre Adventure, which is me watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for the first time with a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure super fan, B. Highland, who is a voice actor and a podcaster and just a wonderful person. I also do a show with B called No Time to Binge, which is where we watch the first episode and the last episode of a TV show, and then we make up what happens in the middle.
That sounds cool.
And those are my podcasts.
Okay. And there will be a link in the show notes for what he mentioned. But I'll ask him to send to me. At the time that
I will do that.
So that's what you will see. And if you enjoyed this episode, there's over 450 other episodes of Games My Mom Found. You can find everything on Podbean. That's our whole catalog. But we do movies, comics, TV seasons. We do this. I just do whatever I can find people and convince people to talk with me about. So go check out our giant catalog. If you want to support the show, we do a Patreon for little dollar. You can vote in our Patreon poll. Right now, this month is Marvel movies Mike has never seen, Daredevil, Elektra, Punisher Warzone, Fantastic Four 2016, and Hulk 2003. As a little dollar, you can vote in Patreon, so definitely go do that. You'll see a link in the show notes. We do have a Discord that we mentioned earlier. You can chat with us. You'll see a link in the show notes too. Please join that. I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Helena at Hell Hathsphere. You can follow her on TikTok. And as I mentioned earlier, give a shout out to my buddy Bill Tucker, starts his own podcast, A Gamer Looks at 40. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. I think that's everything I need to say, so we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.